And this is the station for the latest in election reportage. And the latest this afternoon is the Accra Region Police Command has taken the statement of NDC National Vice Chairman Alhaji Said Sinari after he was accused of distributing weapons to some persons to cause chaos during the December elections. The Asawasi North Constituency Chairperson of the opposition NDC is reported to have confessed to the police that Alhaji Sinari supplied guns to some youth to cause chaos during the December 7 polls. Alhaji Said Sinari is currently in the company of his lawyers Baba Jamal and Abraham Amaleba. A number of NDC supporters are also seen loitering around the Accra Regional Police Headquarters. Alhaji Said Sinari has, however, dismissed the allegation, describing it as malicious and politically motivated by his opponent. Let me share with you a letter he wrote to his party chairman, drawing his attention to the allegation against him. Now it says here, I, Alhaji Said Sinari, National Vice Chairman of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, write to your esteemed office to bring to your attention that Mr. Tahiru Ahmed, the NDC constituency chairman of Asawasi North, has officially lodged a complaint against myself at the Greater Accra Regional Police Command. It says here, Mr. Tahiru Ahmed has been my permanent employee for the last 8 years until last month when his appointment was terminated, as I had enough suspicion that he is a mole for the ruling party. According to his accusations filed with the police and the AK-47 gun produced, I gave those guns to be used in the northern region during the national elections on 7th December 2020 to intimidate the NPP voters. Now, this singular action initiated at this time confirms my suspicion that he was working against the party's interest and intends to bring myself and the party's name into disrepute. It is my prayer that disciplinary procedures are immediately initiated against him and excluded from party strategies. Please accept, Honorable Chairman, the assurances of my highest consideration. Now expect to see Kweku Asante, JoyNews journalist, who is following the story later in the bulletin to give us the developments as they come. A Member of Parliament for Asawasi, Muntaka Mubarak, is asking the Ghana Police Service to review the mode of operation of its anti-robbery unit to prevent it from degenerating into a Nigerian police replica, which has attracted recent public protests. According to him, the unit is being used to intimidate the public for no reason. He cites the killing of the Zongo 7, among others, as some of the excesses exhibited by the anti-robbery unit. He's been addressing the media in Kumasi a day after one of 10 of his supporters arrested in front of his office by the unit was remanded in police custody. Daniel Jima has more.
If you look at the way they look, shabbily dressed, some of them with dreadlocks, some of them unkempt hair. If they were not holding guns and they were not in the police vehicle and you meet them by the roadside, your first assumption is that this person is a deviant. That's how you see them. Police everywhere are supposed to look decent and look encouraging to the society. We see that in Europe and America everywhere. Let the police tell us where they are getting this idea that the police anti-robbery unit will go out in operation without uniform. They are wielding guns. They maltreat their suspects. They sometimes abuse them.
Alhaji Muntaka accuses the police anti-robbery unit of acting contrary to the professional code of the Ghana Police Service. He cites the killing of some 7 persons to buttress his point.
The method of operations of the anti-robbery unit needs to be looked at seriously by the police administration. We are seeing what is happening in Nigeria and many parts of the world. It all started this way. And when the right-thinking Ghanaians kept quiet, it grew and became so abusive and so glaring. Now the abuse, it happens in their office. Or when they arrest people and nobody is watching, they take them to a place and shoot and kill them. And I've cited the Zongo 7 because that's an independent committee says so, that they were arrested and sent to a particular location and shot and killed. That's what the report says. And unfortunately, these perpetrators, and for lack of better word, these murderers, are still within the police anti-robbery unit. I've filed a parliamentary question on this anti-robbery unit, and it is my hope that the Interior Minister will find time to come and answer. But I know the time has run out because Parliament is rising next week for the election. Even after the election, I can assure you that it's something that I'll pursue, because when I want to believe that when the matter gets to the floor, other examples from other MPs will come out.
10 men on Saturday were arrested by the anti-robbery unit in front of the office of the Asawasi MP. 9 of them were released on bail on Sunday after supporters besieged the Central Police Headquarters. But one of them, Audu Sulemana, popularly called Scorpion, remained in police custody accused of robbery. Alhaji Muntaka claims the said suspect has been an NPP activist who recently defected to the NDC and is being held for political reasons.
We know they are being used by the ruling government to foment trouble here. They want to push us to the wall so that when we act, they say, aha, you see how the NDC guys are behaving. We are civil. We will continue to remain calm. We want to act within the law, but we are urging the police to be mindful of these MPP people that try to use them to act.
He wants the youth in the Asawasi constituency and all Zongos to exercise restraint as the matter goes through court. For JoyNews, Nana Ojima reporting.
Now, flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, says the next NDC government will not retrieve the loans being given to small businesses as part of the COVID-19 business support scheme. According to him, the NPP government has been trading off funds for some votes. Now, he says if he wins the election, the monies will not be retrieved. Now, on day 3 of his tour of the Greater Accra region, the former president is in Tema, and Manuel Kranting is with us. He's with the former president, and he's joined us with more. Manuel, what more has the former president been saying? Right, Manuel, what more has the former president been saying?
We're currently at the Tema East constituency. You know that the NDC does not have a seat within the Tema metropolitan area. But all 3 seats in Tema East, Tema Central, and Tema West are currently occupied by the NPP. The former president has been expressing that he's hoping that at the end of the election come December, the NDC will get a share of the seats here. He's been crossing their support. In fact, the former late chief of the Tema traditional area, Ni Ade Okra, who the second passed away in March 2020. He's been signing a book of condolence that has been opened for him. African here in the background, he's currently, addressing a debate that has been organized for him to speak to the chief fishermen and, in fact, the fishing community within the Tema area. He's promising that outboard modes and subsidized fishing inputs will be given to them.
Right, Manuel, thank you very much for joining us there. Let's move to President Akufo-Addo, who is addressing the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs at Dodowa at the start of his final day of his tour of this region. Presidential correspondent Elton Brobe joins us with the latest. Now, Elton, tell us, what has the president been telling the chiefs?
The meeting itself just ended some few minutes ago, but the chiefs, they've requested the presence of the president in the closed door session. So that is what is happening now. But I can just run you through some of the issues that came up. First was the welcome address by the president of the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs, the Osumanche, Dino Kinkawi Doona, and he praised government for the introduction of the One Village, One Dam, the consultation process ongoing in the public sector, and he was of the view that it has helped in eliminating public sector corruption. However, they have some few issues that they want government to tackle. First, 2,500 Ghana cedis government allocate to all the Regional House of Chiefs for their administrative work. They are of the view that the money is inadequate and there's a need for government to top it up. Secondly, they want proper demarcation of the land and the EC region to ensure, proper administration within the 2 regions. In response, that will promote the setting up of a committee at the boundary issues between the Eastern and the Great Southern. He also updated them on what government has done so far in the Great Southern region.
Right.
Government is undertaking over 800 projects, 400 and over 400 ongoing.
Okay.
The issue of the conduct of the December general elections, he again condemned the that took place after the DOD over the weekend and pledged to ensure that we do not have a rapage in going into the December 7th election.
Okay.
But he, as the commander-in-chief, will ensure the election is conducted in an atmosphere of free, fair, and transparent. Daniel.
Elton, thank you very much for bringing us those details. We'll come back to you when there's more to report. Let's take you back to that earlier story where the Greater Accra Regional Police Command has taken the statement of the NDC's National Vice Chairman Alhaji Said Sinari after he was accused of distributing weapons to some persons to cause chaos during the December election. JoyNews' Kweku Asante joins us with more. Kweku, what can you report? Kweku, tell us, what can you report? Right, we'll bring you the report of Kweku Asante very shortly, but just so you know, the National Vice Chairman of the NDC, Alhaji Said Sinari, has been giving a statement to the Greater Accra Regional Police Command because the Ayawaso West Wogon, the Ayawaso North Party Chairman of the NDC reported him to the police for plotting to distribute weapons in the northern region on the 7th of December. Alhaji Sinari has written a letter to his party chairman to let him know that this is false. Let's go back to Kweku Asante and get some more. So Kweku, what more do we know? We will get you that report from Kweku Asante, who has been following this story closely since it broke. And we will try and get an understanding if, first of all, Alhaji Said Sinari has finished with the police, what the police sought to find out from him. And most importantly, if we've heard from the Ayawaso North chairman of the NDC who filed this report to the police. Now, remember, Alhaji Sinari actually told the national chairman of the party, of the NDC, that is Samuel Ofosu Ampofo, that this person was fired, was in his direct employment, and he was fired from his office because he suspected he is a mole for the ruling party. Kweku is with us now. Kweku, what more do we know?
Hello, Daniel.
Kweku, what more do we know?
Well, so I just actually finished speaking to Abraham Amaliba, one of the lawyers of the NDC National Vice Chairman, and he's been telling me that so far, I mean, in the media space, on social media, the allegations that have been made against Mr. Said Sinari is that he's handed a specific gun to the chairman of the NDC in the Ayawaso North for him to use it to foment trouble. According to Mr. Abraham Amaliba, this specific issue has not come up at all in the interrogation that the police have been doing over the past 3 hours since Alhaji Said Sinari has been here. I asked him specifically if that allegation has been corroborated or not, and he said, I was also not chairman of the NDC, has actually not said anything of that sort to the police as of yet. And one other issue that also came up, Daniel, is that there were 2 guns, according to Mr. Ibrahim Amaliba, that was shown to Mr. Alhaji Said Sinari. And one of them, according to Mr. Ibrahim Amaliba, is a gun that the NDC vice chairman had actually already reported to the police in Cantonment that he had lost that gun. And so he was surprised that that gun will be shown here today and be trying to be tendered in evidence to say that he has given that gun to someone to use it to foment trouble. So he doesn't know anything about it. But so far, Mr. Ibrahim Amaliba tells me no charge has been leveled against the NDC vice chairman. They've just come out. Alhaji Said Sinari himself has not been out yet, but I'm seeing them just enter again into the police offices to try and continue what they've been doing so far.
Right.
Mr. Ibrahim Amaliba says they want to secure a bill for their clients before they all leave here. Daniel.
Thank you very much, Kweku Asante, for bringing us that update. Kweku just spoke to Abraham Amaliba, who is a lawyer for Alhaji Said Sinari. Now, the Deputy Bono Regional Minister and Member of Parliament for Jamaica North, Siaka Stephen, has accused the General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, of causing what he calls political disturbances in the constituency during a voter transfer exercise involving some students. Now, according to the MP, the constituency has been identified as a flashpoint because NDC activists were harassing innocent citizens. He warned that if General Mosquito, as he is called, if General Mosquito will be met in equal measure if he repeats the action. Now, he spoke to JoyNews at Sampa after donating medical items, bulbs and streetlights on behalf of the First Lady.
Jama North is among the constituencies identified as a hotspot by the Ghana Police Service as political parties intensified their campaign ahead of the December elections. The recent voter transfer exercise involving some students sparked tension among supporters of the NPP and NDC.
The registration started some time ago. They were in the house, and these students are part of the double track system arrangements we have in the country. So they are in the school. By the time of voting, December 7th, they will still be in school. So it became necessary for them to transfer their votes. We have 7 secondary schools in the district, so they've scattered. So as politicians who want to harvest votes and win convincingly, your duty is to identify potential voters. And we did that within the districts to talk to them. Those who agree to voluntarily transfer their votes came.
German North MP Shaka Stevens, who is also the Deputy Bono Regional Minister, accused the General Secretary of the NDC, Esiedun Ketia, for masterminding the disturbances.
But all of a sudden, the General Secretary of NDC, Esiedun Ketia, decided to come here to cause political disturbances here. I don't know the perception they have for the SSS students. So they thought whoever is a JSS student automatically will vote for Nanado. So the best thing is that they should chase them. So they chased them. Fortunately for them, we were not around. We came and the harm had already been done. So it was General Secretary who came to meddle in our affairs, leaving his constituency there. It's a worrying development for us. But we are giving warning that he shouldn't try again. If he should come, you realize that cool water can actually cause disturbances.
He said the NDC is desperate in its action to win power, including spiritual attacks, but they will continue to work to sustain the peace of the area.
Yesterday, we didn't sleep here because according to them, they should win at all costs. And they are ready to bury Abino here in the market here, Monday market for German North. So we have to chase them out. You saw the sign. But as whether the Abino is alive or dead, we don't know yet. So they want to attack us spiritually, they want to attack us physically. The fact that we are in power doesn't mean we should be so submissive like that. No, at times we can be aggressive. We can equally give them equal match. But we want sanity.
Shaka Stevens, however, said based on the MPP's development drive, he is confident of victory.
It was 1,500 different votes. But what we have done here, everybody is amazed. Within less than 3 years. Initially, I went as opposition, and indeed, I was climbing a hill. Now Nanado is in power, so we are now descending. Everything is now available for the people. And the classical example is what we have seen. This one is from the First Lady. Through me, the hospital should receive it. So you can see the enthusiasm, the smiling faces of all these people. These things are going to be translated into votes. A number of projects, school buildings, name them, hospitals, clinics, paying of school fees. And then all manner of activities that can boost people's morale in the district, we have accomplished. And we are going to win again. They've seen that. That's why they want to cause trouble.
The German North District Health Director, Jacob Aleba Kojo, appreciating the bulbs, street lights and medical items from the First Lady Rebecca Kufuado, appealed for an upgrade of the district hospital to befit its status. For JoyNews, Precious Semevo, Sampa.
Now, some residents of the Infanta Man Constituency are disputing the appropriateness of the governing MPP selecting the wife of the murdered MP Eko Kwanta Hayford to contest December 7 elections. Mrs. Ophelia Hayford will come face-to-face with James' son, who was beaten by her husband in 2016. Here's something to give you a sense of what to expect at 8 p.m. on Battleground on Joy FM.
What we have done is that we have consulted with the various traditional councils and asked if indeed it is befitting for the woman to step into the shoes of the late husband. And they have all given us thumbs up. They believe that she has what it takes to take over. For the bereavement and the mourning, it is supposed to be so. But what is most important as well is that the job must be done. And if it must be done, it must be done well. And if it is going to be done well, then it has to be done by Mrs. Ophelia Kwansa Hayford.
We don't know Ophelia from anywhere. It was her husband that stood and won, and death claimed him. This seat is not for any family. Are we going to look on for the president to make wives whose husbands pass on replace them? It has happened before. If care is not taken, should the president die, the wife would be made to replace him. If you continue to do this, things might not augur well for us.
The Ashanti Regional Health Directorate is warning Ghana could experience a second wave of the coronavirus outbreak if citizens do not observe safety protocols. The Ashanti region has so far recorded 11,000 cases, 17 of which are active, and they have a daily infection rate of 2. Despite this, Regional Director of Health Dr. Tinkrine says the public needs to stick to face mask wearing, social distancing and hand washing regimes to ensure the rate of infections remains low. Speaking at a stakeholders meeting on the maintenance phase of COVID-19 in Kumasi, Dr. Tinkrine called on political leaders to educate their supporters to observe all protocols. Love FM's Erastus Asaridonko has more.
The COVID-19 regional stakeholders meeting was to take stock of the fight against the virus and propose new ways of sustaining the fight. The stakeholders also deliberated on ways of getting members of the public who have stopped visiting health facilities due to the fear of COVID to start doing so. Regional Director of Health, Dr. Emmanuel Tinkrine, says continuous abstention from seeking general health care will contribute to more deaths outside the realm of COVID.
COVID is killing people. It can kill people directly. That is direct COVID death, and it can kill people indirectly because it deprives them of certain health. It deprives them of certain resources, and people will die out of that. So you realize that if we calculate the number of COVID deaths in this country, it's maybe about 300. But indirectly, COVID has killed more people than that. Those people who with hypertension and other diseases who were supposed to have gone to hospital, but for the fear of COVID, they couldn't go. When you die, though you've died from hypertension, but it's COVID, still COVID related. Because if not for COVID, you'd have survived. The protocols...
Despite the low level of COVID cases at the moment, he said any form of complacency in observing the protocols could trigger a second wave of infections.
The only reason why we are not getting the morbidity and then the mortality is because of the strategies that we've put in place. And everybody is working at it. But if we leave out this strategy and think that without the strategy we can just go about and do our normal thing, and COVID will still remain as low as 2 maybe per week in Ashanti region, then we are lying. Because it's only one case that you need to escalate the number of cases that you have. So once we are getting 1 or 2 cases, if we are not careful and then we don't adhere to the protocols, the possibility that the cases will come up is also very rare.
Political leaders have been drawing crowds that do not observe the COVID-19 protocols in the election season. The Regional Director of Health, Dr. Tinkrine, had a message for them.
The danger we have is that we have overcrowding because people are going around doing campaigns and then people are following them. But one thing I've noticed is that you can see that most of the leaders will be wearing their face mask, will try and then observe the social distancing, most probably the hand hygiene protocol. But those who are following them are not adhering to the protocol. So the challenge is that here it calls for leadership. So the leaders should be bold enough to tell their followers that COVID is still around. So let's make sure that what I'm doing, you follow my example. You can come to the Deba ground, you can do everything, but always make sure that you put on your face mask and then observe the social distancing.
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Kumasi.
We stay with COVID, and as the impact of the pandemic eases, hotels in the country are now readjusting to take in visitors. Although they are now making just a fraction of their revenues before the outbreak, for many it's an obvious half a loaf being better than none. My colleague Emmanuel Jivenu visited the Sonia Lodge at East Legon to understand how the facility is coping in the face of the pandemic.
Sonia Hotel is one of such facilities that felt the brunt of the pandemic, from cutting the number of staff to slashing the cost of rooms.
Yeah, as you can see, the business is now, I will put it like closer and closer, is smaller, because a lot of people are not coming. So you have to make sure that you find a way to go around it. Now, what we did was to try and bring our room rates down. We also managed to cut down to some appreciable level the packages that we have.
General Manager of Sonia Hotel, George Ameji, said they had to re-strategize to keep the business afloat during the hard times.
We were able to manage it simply because after cutting down our staff, with a few people in the house, we realized the best thing to do is to get those staff that we have selected to work here. We have rooms available. So we decided to keep them here. They don't go back home. We feed them. We make sure that they are taken good care of.
Many experts warn of a second wave, with human behavior playing a major part. But Sonia Hotel is not taking chances, as management puts in place systems and protocols to prevent the facility from being a breeding ground for COVID-19.
During the period, we realized there are a few things we need to put in place. So we got this Veronica bucket that the polytank did. It was a nice one. That one you use your feet to get the water to wash your hands and the soap, so you don't touch anything. And then we have these automatic dispensers. As you can see, they are all over. At every entrance, all the way down to the conference room, you will find them. The restaurant. The front office, we have even two, in fact 3. There are 3 over there. Anywhere you pass, at least, you will see one. So after washing, you get in, you still have to use a dispenser. And so we make sure that these things are all around. We also have alcohol type, that even if some people feel the other one is a bit sticky, but the alcohol type is lighter, so you can use that one. So immediately you enter, you meet somebody with the alcohol one also to help. If you're okay with it, you say no. If you're not, okay.
In the heart of East Legon lies this exquisite 2-star hotel, just a few minutes walk from the ANC shopping center. Sonia Hotel has 20 rooms ranging from 1 bedroom to a suite, with some rooms featuring an in-room safe and satellite TV, as well as dining and gastronomic restaurant. The on-site restaurant specializes in local cuisines, and the facility also provides an outdoor swimming pool and a patio.
Hosted the vice president just this September, it was a 2-day conference. And so this whole place was, security-wise, like I said, is super. The whole place was covered. And then, actually, we didn't know from day one that the vice president was going to come. We were not told. It was kept that way. All we know is they are coming to have a conference.
Now, women, especially in rural Ghana, have traditionally been involved in gathering and producing food, collecting water and sourcing fuel for heating and cooking. Unfortunately, climate change is making the performance of these tasks difficult. One of the solutions is predicting weather patterns, mainly through radio weather forecast. However, more women have been found not to have access to communication gadgets at home. This is part of findings by the Environmental Science Department of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology on Tech Thursday. Love FM's Kwesi Debra speaks with the lead scientist, Professor Philip Inchieje.
The study, conducted in the Upper East region of Ghana, sought to assess mainstreaming information services for resilient agricultural systems. And according to oodles of research findings, women are disproportionately impacted by climate change. So the researchers try to find out how gender impact access to climate information. And you know what they found? They found that more than 40% of women could not access communication gadgets.
And this is linked to the ownership of communication gadgets, including radios, televisions, and the rest. Unfortunately, if you go to most of our villages, sometimes is the husband or is the male who buys the radio. Even in the cases where women have purchased these radios, who controls the radio is the male who still controls the radio. And sometimes the household chores and other social commitment may also prevent women from having time to listen into programs and other things that climate information that may be shared on radios and television. There's evidence to suggest that indeed women are more impacted by climate change. This is what we call differentiated impacts of climate change on the various gender groups or various socioeconomic groups. Women, by their nature, lack access to and control over productive and economic resources that will help them to build their capacity to address the many challenges posed by climate change. So if they are not able to get these kinds of assets, then they find themselves in a very tight position. And invariably, what happens is that in our society, men control most of the assets that are needed to address the effects of climate change: the capital assets, land assets, natural assets, financial assets, and physical assets that are needed to be able to address the adverse impacts of climate change. We need to have a holistic approach and promote women participation when it comes to adaptation planning. Sometimes we leave them behind.
You're live on JoyNews today. Coming up in business, government insists adequate structures are in place to check budget overruns for the first quarter of next year. Daryl has the latest after this.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Business. My name is Daryl Kwao. Government insists adequate structures are in place to check budget overruns for the first quarter of next year as concerns go over government's rising debt stock. Now, let's hear from the Deputy Finance Minister, Kweku Kwarteng, who has been speaking to that.
Even though on this occasion, there's a certain sense, at least on my part and on the part of those who work on this expenditure in advance of appropriation, that we're going to have a new Nanado government taking over from the old Nanado government, it still will be the case that there might be changes in positions ministers will have to go for vetting. Within that period, you really do not expect that those who will be in charge will be able to spend. So I don't think it's a risk we need to worry about so much. But I think broadly, what the minister was saying was that when you have gone through COVID and you have a program to recover, as part of the recovery, you want to now make sure that you return to the normal deficits you were registering before the pandemic. MDAs would have to play their role in that. And let's not forget that it is also a jailable offense under the PFMA to overspend your budget. It's a jailable offense, and so I'm confident that MDAs would listen to the minister's admonition, and that by the time we actually issue the actual 2017-2021 budget in March 2021, we would have contained our expenditures within the revenue that we're able to get.
But you look at 13 billion revenue, 27, again, another huge deficit as well. Q1 already, it gives us a sense of what we should expect for the year.
I think you should focus more on the year-end deficit. As you would recall, in the first year, in the first quarter after an election year, there are some extraordinary expenditures you need to incur. And therefore, in order to get a balanced picture of what's likely to happen in 2021, you need to look at the year-end projections. We are committed. I'm confident we'll be in power. We're committed to respecting the fiscal path that we have defined, because without it, the recovery will be difficult and Ghanaians will pay the price subsequently. So we're committed to ensuring that the fiscal path is respected. And once that happens, the recovery would follow, and Ghana can safely put COVID behind us and return to the kind of progress we were making, exiting the IMF, improving the macro fiscals that we saw before COVID. We would return to those.
All right, I want to take you to Parliament now, I believe, where there is a discussion about the Finance Minister's request for 27.4 billion cedis to spend in the first 3 quarters of next year. And the minority in Parliament claiming that Ghana is broke. That debate has been going on. Joining us is parliamentary correspondent Joseph Opoku-Gakpo. Tell us what the discussion has been.
Mainly, it's been at the level of the Finance Committee where the conversation is ongoing. When the Minister presented the statement to Parliament yesterday, the Speaker, Professor Michael Kwe, referred it to the Committee on Finance for them to consider it at that level, send to the House with a report. That meeting has been ongoing this morning, we gather, in which the committee members are meeting the Finance Ministry officials to get the firm details and the breakdown. Of course, the minority continue to raise their objections about the figures that's going into debt servicing being on the high side, which is why they think this is something that shouldn't be approved, and the majority defending it. We are waiting that by the close of day, the committee would have finished its deliberation, and most likely from tomorrow or Monday, a full-blown debate on this will kick off on the floor of the House. We can expect that the majority will use their numbers to get it approved, despite the concerns of the minority that it's not a good budget going into the 2021 first quarter.
All right, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, we'll come back to you at 1 o'clock for some more updates. Thanks very much for joining us. That's it for business. Stay tuned. Sports is coming up next.
Away from that, Mekri Kwe, host of Hit FM's Drive Time, has confirmed the official MC for the Ghana Unite concert. Speaking in an interview with JoyNews, Mekri Kwe details what to expect from him come 1st of November.
Mercury is synonymous to energy, synonymous to excitement. So that's exactly what we should expect at this time of the year. Election is just around the corner, and there's one thing that we need to bring home. There's one thing that we need to remind people. Life is good, but it's always better to ameliorate it. And to do that at this time, the medicine that we need, the dosage that we need, it's a lot of peace and, tranquility. So that's what this show stands for, and I'm excited to actually have all these amazing acts: Tawale, Stoneboy, Samini, Kwame Eugene, Kofi Kenata on one stage to mash it all up, to drum home the message of peace to Ghanaians. And I'm very excited about how, you know, Ghana is excited about this event. And Sunday, I can tell you for sure, is going to be an exciting time.
You're going to be doing this with Sister Sandy. And Sister Sandy is also a very talented person.
Yeah.
Have you worked with her before?
I haven't worked with Sister Sandy in this capacity before, but Sister Sandy, you know, I've watched her, she watches me, and interestingly, she calls herself the female version of Mercury Quay.
Oh, really?
Tells you, exactly. So that tells you that there is a certain bond. She comes on my show to come twerk sometimes, you know. So
whoa!
Well, I can't wait for that particular concert, GH Unite concert. Daniel, is what you're supposed to be.
I can't wait to see Kofi Kenata on stage.
Which of his favorite songs, or which of his songs?
Which of his songs is my favorite?
Yeah.
I love behind the scenes, but Things Fall Apart will always be. It will always have a special place in my heart.
So do you have like a line? Do you have the voice behind the voice that you can, you know?
Friday, Chapel, Saturday, something, yeah, what club in the moon. Also, no matter audition, Charlie, something, I'm not sure.
You're not.
But I'm so much part of Are you doing it?
Please. It's okay. Can we just end the show?
That's it for this bulletin of JoyNews today. My name is Daniel. Thank you very much for joining us. Up next is The Marketplace with Daryl Kwa. We'll be back tomorrow. Becky, News
Today was brought to you by
Number 10 liver salt from Ernest Chemists, because everyone needs a chemist.